So I'm like, okay, this is not fair. I have given my life to you, God. I have confessed. I have turned my life around. I'm helping women. I'm doing all the things. Why me? Like, why does that happen to me? All right. So at this point, I'm shame-free Gigi. And I like to say that because I want people to know that this was post going through the post-abortion Bible study. This was post telling my story to all of YouTube and the world, my family, everybody knows. Years ago, I was 17 and I grew up in church, of course, with godly parents, but I decided to live a life of my own that wasn't of God. And I became pregnant and I had an abortion. And I remember the day I walked in my parents' office and I said, I got to tell you something. I'm not the perfect little girl you think I am. Pastor's kid, church girl. And they wrapped me in their love and they just said, we would have never abandoned you if you had told us. And I've started this ministry and I'm just really excited and joyful to like help other women not have abortions, right? So you would think that my first baby that I would give birth to, that I would go through with the pregnancy, would be joyful. God has blessed me to have a child. God has blessed me to get pregnant after I thought I couldn't get pregnant. Like I said, I'm in these Bible studies with these girls telling them, hey, if God don't let us get pregnant, we will all be content with whatever God's plan is. Some of us, God will allow us to get pregnant naturally again. Some of us, it may be a struggle. Some of us, we may not ever be able to have another baby. You know, we just gonna leave it open, but we're not gonna turn away from God. We're not gonna diss God because of whatever he chooses, right? So I was teaching that, I was preaching that. And so when I finally got pregnant, total shock to me because I didn't think God would let me after all those abortions, 5 abortions. I was not in a good place in my life. Family-wise, we had just had a big fallout, real big fallout. Real big fallout. My church, major fallout. That was probably the place I grew up in all my life and gone to church, all the people, everybody, major fallout. And because of those 2 major fallouts, now me and my husband are homeless. We ain't got nowhere to go because we decided to leave the city. We decided to leave the city and start over because it was just so much drama around our relationship. So isolation set in, we have nowhere to go, we leave the city. August, I find out I'm pregnant. And I'm like, here we go. How unfreaking fair. And I had just dropped doing the ministry like full time on YouTube, on social media. Like I had went ghost. My first time going ghost. I tried to come back multiple times. This is like my main time going ghost. So I'm like, okay, this is not fair. I have given my life to you, God. I have confessed. I have turned my life around. I'm helping women. I'm doing all the things. Why me? Like, why does that happen to me? And so when I found out I was pregnant, I was not happy. Shame-free Gigi, not happy. Like, I was not shame-free. I was mad free. Like, I was not happy. I was so mad because it wasn't fair. I wasn't able to experience this new joy with my family because we were all not talking. And it was just so much drama around my life that I'm like, bro, I don't want to be pregnant. And I gotta keep it 100. I literally was so mad that I was pregnant that I was wishing and hoping because I knew I would not have another abortion. I knew. I couldn't go back on God after all he had brought me through. All the healing, all the testimonies, all the merch, you know, selling merch, saying shame-free, like all the things, like all the girls I had talked to and helped, the views, the opportunities to go speak, conferences, pro-life movement, all that stuff. I knew like there was nothing in me that would ever let me go back into an abortion clinic and experience that again because I had gave that life up. But what I didn't know that I could be tempted with was the thought of hoping for a miscarriage. How powerful that was. And that I fell for that temptation. I actually fell for that temptation. And it reminds me of like in the Bible where it says that, you know, even if you lust after someone and you even think about having sex with them, that you don't even have to touch him, you've already done it in your heart. I committed another abortion in my heart
because I was praying to God for a miscarriage. Think about that. I was praying. I was like, God, please let me just bleed. Please let this baby just please let this baby just die. I'm going to just keep it 100 and say the words I said. Please let the baby just die. Please don't let this baby live in this situation. God, how can you let me get pregnant? Yes, I know how things work, but how can you let me get pregnant? And I'm married this time. Like, we were actually married, legally married. I find out I'm pregnant, and I still don't want to be pregnant because my life is not where I want it to be. And so I'm like, God, why would you let this happen? Are you trying to push me back into my old ways? Like, why? Things are not going well. And if I could be 100, me and my husband were even not on good terms because he was dealing with lust and women and his own thing. Even though we were freshly married, even though we finally tied the knot, he was still dealing with his own demons, right? And I thought, I'm all good. There's no way I'll never have another abortion. But I never thought that I would be tempted with the thought of wishing death on my child in the womb. And so it took, I'm not even gonna lie, it took me probably the first 3 months to be happy that I was pregnant. Mix that with all the physical things you go through, the nausea, the sickness, the smells, the throwing up, can't eat, don't know what to eat, crying because you don't got enough money to afford anything to eat to even throw back up. You know, like, just mix all of that physical stuff with the mental, the spirit, and I'm in complete isolation. I'm in somebody's basement going through this, and nobody knows. So if I had the abortion, it would have been another easy abortion to have because nobody was in my life at this point. So it took me at least 3 months to finally repent. I had to repent to God for wishing death on my child. I didn't know it was a boy until months later, but I had to repent to God for wishing death on my son. And I look at him to this day and I'm like, God, thank you for not answering my prayer. God, thank you for not answering my prayer. Thank you for not answering the prayer of wishing this baby die. Looking at him today, I thought I was set free. I really thought that I was set free. Like, I really thought that I would never, ever wish death on another child again. But I didn't know that the enemy didn't even have to get me to the abortion clinic. All he had to do was work on my mind. Because if he worked on my mind enough and I didn't repent, who knows? My baby could have died in the womb, right? So, man, that thing was tough. I felt like God should have given me a great first pregnancy experience. But now looking back, it wasn't about God giving me what I wanted. It was about God seeing how I was responding to what I was given. And how I responded to what I was given was terrible until I repented. And when I repented, I began to see the blessings of God and how literally the same things that I had to do to help the girls that would reach out to me that were pregnant, they'll reach out to me and they'll be like, hey, I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should keep the baby. And I would coach them through the process. And I would be like, listen, go to a pregnancy center. Let them at least give you an ultrasound. Make sure the baby is in the right spot. You know, consider that before you go to an abortion clinic. Let me pray for you. I would ask them to just give the baby a chance, give themselves a chance. And I would look up the pregnancy center in their area, in their zip code, and call the center sometimes on their behalf and be like, hey, this girl is coming. She needs help. She wants an abortion, but she's coming to you because she needs help. So please be there for her. And that whole thing I used to do for girls, back to back to back in my DMs, I actually became that girl and I needed that support. So I ended up having to call a pregnancy center on my behalf, shaking, not knowing what to do because I'm in a new city. I'm not in Florida where I'm from. I was in Georgia, so I didn't know where to go. I didn't even know where to drive when I went out to the street. And so I had to look up the zip code I was in, find a pregnancy center near me, and go have the faith to tell them what my situation was and ask for help. Do you know how humbling that was to ask for help? Me, the girl with the 2-parent home, middle class, got money, college degree, got a church that would support me. If they knew I was pregnant day one, they would have supported me. Like, I had so much support at home, but because of what the enemy had done in our life, literally, and breaking up our family and our church, I almost became like the prodigal son. I was out there in the streets with no support. And by God's grace, he provided for us. The pregnancy center taught us how to get food stamps. I'm just keeping it real. Pregnancy center taught us how to get government assistance, taught me how to get Medicaid. I never knew how to get Medicaid. I didn't know nothing about that. I didn't have to ever be on food stamps. Pregnancy center helped me. They gave me the pamphlet. They told me how to find an obstetrician. I didn't know how to find that. They told me how to apply for, they helped me get 2 car seats for my baby before my baby was even born, 2 brand new car seats. They did classes with us, fed us every single time we went to the classes. I was hungry going to them classes, you know what I'm saying? Pregnant, hungry. They connected me with a church in Georgia. And this church was so beautiful, and they were even so supportive and loving and caring. So it was like, even though I was apart from my family, I was apart from my church, I was apart from what it felt like, God was right there in my situation and set up everything for me to still be provided for and to be blessed. So he didn't leave me stranded. He didn't leave me ghost. He was my anchor, honestly. And like I said, when I repented for wishing death on my unborn child, thinking I was doing the right thing because I wasn't going to physically have an abortion or I wasn't secretly taking an abortion pill, God still showed me that I was still subject to the enemy's temptations. I was still subject to the enemy's voice because I agreed with death instead of agreeing with life, instead of rejecting the enemy, instead of resisting the enemy and him fleeing, submitting to God, resisting the enemy and him fleeing. I didn't resist the enemy. I didn't submit to God. And so the devil was right there in my ear. And so that is my honest, true story about wishing I would have a miscarriage. I believe that is like a mental abortion. When women, even if they are to the point where they try to go get the abortion, but something happened with the appointments and they couldn't get an appointment, or they couldn't get in, or they were too late, and so now they can't have the abortion. I believe that we still need to be set free and recognize that we can still have a mental abortion. And I heard that babies can feel rejection even in the womb. And so when you want an abortion with a child, you really desire to abort your child, that your babies can feel, because we're spirits. We're all spirits, man. So our spirits are just moving, right? And this body is just physical, but so we're spirits first. So when we're transferring the spirit of rejection from ourselves to the child, it's like, oh my gosh, the trauma, the reaction that the child can come out and just automatically feel rejected. You'd be like, why my child always acting standoffish or shy? Was there a spirit of rejection imparted into that child even in the womb? So, yeah, I can go on and on that one, man. That one goes deep.